All right, I'm going to jump right into it. We're going to blast off, to quote Hasanabi the goat. So I want to first, a lot of people keep asking me, how sizable is this change, Anna? How sizable is this? And to give you an idea, on the left is what the prohibited content page was before the changes added in yesterday. So as you can see, this is a really big change. People are not exaggerating. There's a whole ass new section added in the middle and the top and the bottom. Like, it's almost a new document at this point. And there's a lot of stuff added in. So I'm going to break down everything that was added in yesterday. Then I'm going to discuss what was removed yesterday. And then we'll discuss what this means for adult content creators, okay? So I will be checking chat as I go, but I will be in lecture mode a little bit because I want to make sure all the information comes out cleanly. So please forgive me if I don't hear or see your messages in chat right away. I want to make sure that folks watching this get the information succinctly explained to them without too many interruptions. Feel free, obviously, to say what you'd like to, what you need to in chat. You're welcome to. Just understand there might be a bit of a delay. Okay, so let's start first. Let's blast off first by going over what the original prohibited content section looked like on Subscribestar before the changes that we just saw. So the original prohibited content section said, it is not allowed to use the Subscribestar if you are, as a user, directly or indirectly involved in any illegal activity connected in a form of presenting, offering, selling, promoting, advocating, hyping on, or profiteering from with the following types of businesses. So anything alcohol, drugs, and tobacco, alcohol and alcohol brewing kits. A couple things here that are not really in the realm of sexual and adult content, so we won't talk about too much. We've got weapons as well being banned. You cannot engage in weapons on Subscribestar, like weapons trading. Digital tech and gaming, third-party/aggregation, cyber lockers, decryption and descrambling products, and a couple things as well there. Then we get to really what was the original bulk of the adult content ban, or not adult content ban, apologies. The adult content rules on Subscribestar. Obscenity, abuse, harm. This was, again, just to reiterate, this was before yesterday. A ban on bestiality, rape, or incest. Filthy or disgusting words or pictures. Synthetic media and deepfakes, whether created with or without the use of AI. Animal cruelty or abuse in any shape or form, presenting, advocating, or promoting. Live child abuse imagery and child pornography. This is really important. We're going to talk about this section more when we talk about the changes that ban lolicon content and aging up characters. Pornography is defined as real people engaging in sexual acts such as masturbation or sexual intercourse on camera. Obviously, this makes a lot of sense. They're basically saying you cannot post CSAM, which obviously no reasonable website would allow the posting of such heinous and illegal content. Services, conversations, products that promote hate, violence, discrimination, terrorism, harassment, or abuse of any kind, and then self-harm or suicide. So you will notice right away that there is this ban on bestiality, rape, or incest content that was originally there already, but I think it's important to clarify that for the most part, if you posted this content, you really weren't getting dinged on Subscribestar. There wasn't really a history of getting dinged for posting non-con or dub-con content. It's not like any artists that were working with material where there's a forceful sex scene, or it's not like any of my audios would ever get dinged even when they had themes of dubious consent. They weren't really getting dinged on Subscribestar from my understanding. The only thing that I will note with bestiality is I did not publicly discuss this, but I did know of instances in late 2025 where feral content was starting to get targeted. This is why I've suggested on social media that I believe Subscribestar will maintain a ban on feral content, because this was something already happening behind the scenes. I also will say as well that I've also heard claims that lolicon content, or lolly show content really technically, was getting targeted as well before these rules were added. There were certain select content creators that were getting hit and moderated. Obviously, though, there are folks like Kumo Goro Goro, who's a very talented lolicon, ASMR VTuber, who is really upset by this, and you relied on Subscribestar as a safe haven from Patreon. So understand that this wasn't a case where a ton of lolly VTubers, for example, or lolly artists were expecting this immediately to happen. Like, they had heard potentially rumors or so that this was going on, but this was not necessarily expected to be the case, to be occurring on Subscribestar anytime soon. Now, that said, we knew that there was some weird payment information issues with Subscribestar on the lead up to yesterday. I reported on this a little bit on Blue Sky. There was like this wallet feature that was added and then immediately removed, and it's not really clear why. It's not clear if it was something that was pushed too early or it was supposed to be like a payment processor like Sidestep. We also know as well that a lot of creators were noticing the payment like issue where people are getting their payment information wiped out because they were losing payment on Subscribestar. So it was also an instance as well where a lot of creators were coming in and saying something is up with Subscribestar. So the rule changes themselves are not unexpected entirely. Like, the fact that something is happening, something was going on with Subscribestar was kind of a given. Most folks in the know realized something was going on. The issue is that people did not expect this to be as enormous as it is, because basically the only competitive and marketing advantage that Subscribestar had over Patreon was wiped out literally yesterday. And it's a pretty big change, as I looked at again via the screenshot here. Like, this is an enormous change. And anyone who thinks that's a small thing is kidding themselves. This is basically sending shockwaves around the artist, creator, adult content creator community over the past 24 hours. Thank you, Silent Racket. I appreciate you. This VOD will be up later if you want to learn about the TLDR for how this affects myself as a Subscribestar creator. Oh yeah, I was hit by that little no idea what kind of infra goof could cause that. A ton of people got unscribed. Yeah, well, I've been losing subscriptions as well. I think I lost about like 10 people on Subscribestar. They suddenly didn't have payment info recorded. Yeah, manually had to pay every month to creators. I was never charged despite being a paid subscriber. Crazy, Kirkhond. Good to have you, by the way. Crazy. So that was the original iteration. Let's now dig into the prohibited content changes. I'm gonna read through all of it. So buckle in, get yourself a hot cup of coffee or like a cold cup of Monster or something. I'm definitely gonna crack open a Monster midway during the stream. So let us. Oh, I spilled water on myself. Let us read this together, comrades. Comrades, let us commence the reading. All right. Prohibited content. A cup of my anger. Yeah, that sounds good. Prohibited content section. Updated from March 10th. This still has the original Anthro feral rules. Subscribestar is a platform designed for digital artists and creators publishing fictional works, including 2D, 3D art, animation, comics, and written content. To comply with legal requirements, payment processors, and acquiring bank standards, certain types of content are not permitted on the platform. So this is new. The word payment processor was not uttered for me before when I was going through the prior rules. I think this is Subscribestar's way of basically saying, like, COD emoji, not us. Do I have the COD emoji here? I'm sure I added it because I fucking love it. I've got it here somewhere, right? Yeah. This is their way of saying, like, not us, fam. Not us. There it is. Look, caught emote. Look, it's their way of saying, like, not us, fam. It's the pay pros. We're doing this because of the pay pros. Don't be mad at us. Yeah. Let me see those caught emotes. Let me see those fucking caught emotes. It's better TTV. You just all you have to do is just type caught. All you have to do is just type caught. There you go. Yeah. Ember just posted a massive post on our server. Send it to me. I'll show it on stream. Content creators may not use the platform if they are directly or indirectly involved in presenting, offering, selling, promoting, advocating, hyping, or profiteering from the prohibited categories of content, products, services, or activities. So this is actually really interesting. Content creators may not use the platform if they are directly or indirectly involved in... So what this suggests to me, this is just something to put a pin into because it's about directly or indirectly involved in presenting, offering, selling, promoting, advocating, hyping, or profiteering from the prohibited categories. If someone might, for example, say, like, I'm going to use Subscribestar for my vanilla stuff, but if you want the lolly stuff, go to RPlay, there is a chance, just as like what's happened with Patreon in the past, where they look at what you're doing on sites outside of Subscribestar, there's a chance that looking at what you're doing outside Patreon, there's a chance that what this means is that Subscribestar, if they see, for example, that you're like a really big Lolicon VTuber and you're promoting Lolicon stuff and you're talking about like Lolicon ASMR is the greatest, I'm a Lolicon ASMRist, by the way, go to my Subscribestar for my non-Lolicon content. This clause suggests to me that Substar is basically saying if we think that like your brand is a bad fit for Subscribestar based on what we consider prohibited content, we might also pull you as well. So for those of you that are lolicon VTubers and VTuber fans, I would, and pretty much fans of anyone doing content that's going to violate stuff here, but I'm mentioning this in particular because I'm thinking of lolicon VTubers like Kumo, right? I would pay attention to this. This is a pretty serious clause addition. This is basically saying what you do off Substar is important to your Substar content. This is a pretty big change. Content review and pre-screening. All content submitted, uploaded, posted, or otherwise made available by users on the platform is subject to a pre-screening and review process prior to publication. The platform reserves the right, at its sole discretion, to review, moderate, approve, reject, remove, or restrict any content to ensure compliance with applicable laws, payment processor requirements, community guidelines, and these T&C. Submission of content does not guarantee publication. Users acknowledge and agree that the platform may delay, condition, or deny the availability of any content pending successful completion of the pre-screening process. Prior to being permitted to publish content accessible to other users, a content creator must successfully pass the Know Your Customer and profile screening process. Until this screening is completed and the creator's profile is approved for monetization, the creator may not share content with other users. Okay. We knew that this was coming because people were already facing this. They would upload posts and they would upload content to the Subscribestar. And Subscribestar would basically hold that content for a little bit and review it. This was happening to me. This was happening to other creators using Substar. I originally thought there was AI moderation being used, but I had instances where content I posted took a little while to get approved. Let me actually take a look and see. I don't think I posted anything that would violate these rules during that moderation process. The AI moderation process. I mean, I think my vampire audio was posted with AI review, or with the review process going on and went through. So I don't know how intensely they'll be moderating things in Subscribestar either. We'll talk about that a little bit. Like, how much are these rules, meaning like they're watching you like a hawk, and how much you can get away with stuff. We'll talk about that too. But this basically means that content moderation feature, or the content review feature that a lot of creators were experiencing, is not a fluke. It's not a strange thing that they tried briefly. It's not something that you weren't supposed to see and then you saw it. This was actually them rolling out the content review process, the pre-screening process, which is now official, which is pretty crazy because Patreon doesn't even have this. You just post the content, you're done. Real People Subscribestar supports fictional and digitally created content only. I'm actually going to skip this part. Save for just reading over this really quickly, because we've known this. So this was not codified in a Subscribestar's rules very clearly, but you'll remember Ember was basically told, go to our Subscribestar like OnlyFans alternative, because you can't post like IRL content on Substar. And Ember was caught unawares and I was caught unawares, but this has actually been policy. They just haven't publicly stated it. I'm not gonna lie, I think Subscribestar did not publicly state this as policy for the longest time, because I think they wanted to catch people in the act of posting real content and then say, go to our alternative and we'll set you up quickly. So I think it was actually like a sly marketing tactic, and that's why they wouldn't really like tell people like you can't model on Subscribestar, because they'd be trying to filter you into their platform. What I will add is creators producing such content may be removed and by a mutual agreement directed to our partner platforms better suited for hosting that type of material. If such a transfer occurs, we will assist with the transition where possible. So a lot of people saw this later in the bottom of the rules change, and they assumed Substar was working on like an alternative to Substar that's like gonna allow for like incest content and non-con content and stuff like that. But I actually think what you'll see at the bottom of the page just has to do with the Real People section here. I think it's just Substar is basically saying, yeah, if you're posting Real People content, we catch you, we'll just bring you on to our alternative site. So yeah, let me catch up with chat and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of what changed. Got a reply from Substart, send it to you via Discord, DM it short, and says Allah. Okay, excellent. Let me take a look. Breaking news. Yeah, send it over whenever. Oh, I see it. Okay. Read this and laugh. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'll read that in a second. I'll read that what you got in a second. Okay. All right. Let me catch up a little bit. Yeah, exactly what Patreon does then, Con, just regarding the reviewing what you're posting on other sites. Yep. Patreon tactics are the base meta now. That. They spelled tobacco wrong? Yeah, they had to fix it. They had to fix the spelled tobacco wrong. Well, the rules are in English, so they spelled it wrong in English. Well, how little options we have to use our money, yeah. All right, so that's the real people section. I'm going to skip alcohol, drugs, tobacco, weapons. That didn't change. Digital tech, gaming. That didn't change. Obscenity, abuse, harm. Okay, here we go. The meat of it, if you were here to learn all the rule changes, lock in. This is it. Tobacco. Hello, Sailor Asia Moon. How are you, sweetie? I hope you're doing well. All right. So, child sexual abuse material and underage characters. Child sexual abuse material in any form is prohibited. Duh. Obviously. You cannot post child porn onto Subscribestar. This is not new. This hasn't changed. When I say CSAM and child porn here, obviously this, because of all of the clarifications here, this literally means like, illegal content. Content that in any country would get you arrested. Any depiction of underage, prohibited as well, any depiction of underage or underage appearing characters in sexualized circumstances, regardless of artistic style, medium, or whether the content is fictional, illustrated, animated, or digitally rendered. This is a lolicon ban. This is a Shotacon ban. Lolly Show is done. No more Lolly Show on Substar. This is something that was rumored to be coming. Because like Lolly Show creators have faced some issues with Substar, but this is it. If you're underage, or yes, you want to pay attention to this, underage appearing, you're out. So goodbye Lolly VTubers, goodbye Lolly artists, goodbye Lolly audio creators. You're done. Sexualized depictions of characters from films, games, anime, comics, or other media that are canonically underaged, even if such characters are aged up by a textual 18+ statement, modified, or reinterpreted. I kind of call this like the Usagi, like Sailor Moon rule, where there's like a lot of Sailor Moon porn, but it's kind of generally understood that like in most cases, people are aging up like Sailor Moon to draw porn of her, and this is a ban on doing that. You can't do that. If there's a character that is canonically 15, 16, 14, whatever, if you like gushing over magical girls and you thought Utena was sexy and you want to age her up to 18 so she can have sex in college, you're done. You can't do that. That is banned. That is just banned. Characters portrayed. Okay, this is very interesting. Characters portrayed with body proportions, facial features, clothing, or contextual cues commonly associated with minors. For moderation purposes, visual appearance takes precedence over written disclaimers. So, I have been asked whether this is an ABDL ban, and I think it is, because I think what they're basically saying is characters portrayed with clothing commonly associated with minors, and that would include diapers, or maybe, a character that's looking a little innocent with like panties that that have like funny, like colored panties with like funny, animals on them. Like that stuff I think is gone or is going to be banned. Now I'm going to talk about how heavily this is all going to be moderated because it's unclear to me. But I do think because they singled out clothing very specifically that it is a ban on ABDL content and diaper content. And I think a lot of H-play content. This is also important to note that a lot of this is very racist. The focus on body proportions, facial features. I've talked about this for years now when Patreon started cracking down on anime porn by saying, this character looks a little too young. Like, what standards were they using? It was always like this kind of like white Western standard of like how an adult woman should look, right? Petite characters were at risk. We've seen this consistently. This is a big issue on the internet. Like, a lot of people operate off of the idea that like adult equals like big tits, curvy, like basically looks like a white like American woman, when the reality is bodies actually come in all shapes and sizes when you're an adult. Like, there are petite women out there, there are flat chested like slim adult women out there. Like, once you like it's the sort of thing where it's like, to the average person that doesn't think that hard about this, it feels very simple. But once you actually, like, the more that you try to clarify what is and isn't breaking this kind of rule, the more you realize it's a very blurry line. It's like, it looks clear from afar. It's actually very unclear up close. And there's a lot of stuff about sex and race and gender that and beauty standards that actually define what does and doesn't violate the rules of basically payment processors. Because, you know, in America, payment processors are these big, like, again, American companies. So they're going to operate off of very American values, which is kind of what's going on here. What I would say, though, is that TLDR for this section, you're going to have to be very, if you're going to still stay on Substar, be very careful about drawing any characters that are canonically underage in media. You know, like, this basically means, like, a lot of Chainsaw Man characters can't be drawn in your porn, for example. Even if you age up Denji and he's in college, like, you can't do that. And you need to be really careful about how you draw characters and how they're depicted. If you are a lolly show creator, it is time to hit the eject button and get on our play. I really hate to say that, but we'll talk about how this is moderated, but it's just so obvious that this is just a lolly show ban. That's that. That's that. All right, let me catch up with chat. People should really stop calling CSAM CP. Unfortunately, it's also really hard to clarify what CSAM is and isn't, because people have tried to tack on like lolly and Shota content to mean CSAM, and it's kind of watered down what CSAM is. Like, what CSAM is very specifically, like, in the US, it is like the depiction of children in sexual context in video and images. Like, that's legally what it is in the US. And it gets awkward to describe, like, what child sexual abuse material is when you go through these rules, because people will call lolly show CSAM in order to push the Overton window into getting lolly show banned as being CSAM, and it's technically not CSAM. Like, in the US, it's not CSAM, unless, like, you're in Texas. So it's also, it makes my job as a journalist harder when people insist that they're one and the same thing, because legally they're not. Now, you could use a lolly show to, in a court setting, in a legal setting, to show motivation, to prove that someone is not, like, accidentally accessing CSAM, if, like, it was on their computer cached or something like that. But it's not technically legally in the US CSAM, like, technically speaking. So it's important when people talk about these issues to also be very clear about the language they use, because it gets confusing to people very quickly. But of course, the content is illegal in some areas too. In the UK, you cannot own lolly show content. In Australia, you cannot look at that content. Baby Thing might be a deliberate call to what the British are entertaining. I think it's possible. Chainsaw Man mentioned Rplay. Yes, Rplay is a very common and popular ASMR alternative website that a lot of English VTubers are using, but was very popular in East Asia. The more global UN definition does include any material, real or virtual, depicting children as situations. I think the reality, though, is that we have to discuss it in the pure legal context because of what's happening in a place like, for example, United States. Like, it's very important when we're talking in the context of what laws and what payment processor policies exist from U.S. companies. We have to be very clear about how the U.S. classifies it. Otherwise, it gets confusing, because this is not just a philosophical topic. Like, absolutely, I understand people want to say philosophically that they are part of the same category. But the reality is, what companies have to do legally and what companies have to do based on financial pressure is actually way more specific. Even if another country or the UN does it, if it's operating the US, working with US payment processors, then it becomes way more complicated, because it also becomes an issue of, you know, MasterCard is like actively working to identify and make sure they're not working with anybody that is part of like propagating CSAM material. But at the same time, you know, there has always been this wiggle room around lolly show of platforms that's been different. So it's just, I need to be very clear here. We're talking about legal and we're talking about payment processor policy issues, which is why I do get upset when people say they're one and the same thing, because the distinction does matter region to region. It depends heavily where you are, what that means legally. So that's just my little rant, because it's very confusing for me as a journalist to explain this stuff when people say lolly show is CSAM. It's like, well, no, like, you're not necessarily going to get, like, you know, like, in legal trouble in the US in 49 states for, like, having that on your computer if it's just like a lolicon manga. That's why Faku had lolicon content for the longest time. So, okay, spiel over. We're not going to talk about that specifically anymore. The TLDR, though, is yes, this is one of the big changes. Not overly, number 2, not overly unexpected, but 3 and 4 are pretty big, and this puts it into Patreon territory. So this, what I'm about to read now is the original rules. This has been pulled. This area, these two have been pulled. Let me just double check that remains the case. Yeah, these two have been pulled at this time. 1 second. Excuse me. Although there is something that Crossman received from Subscribestar that I will bring up really quickly as well in this context. So just know that things are a little fucky-wucky. So let me go through this first, and then I'll read what Crossman said, and then I'll give you my interpretation, okay? Because things are already getting very confusing, and this is very kooky. This is very kooky, and Subscribestar stuff often is kooky. So, bestiality and human-animal sexual activity. Any depiction of sexual activity between a human and an animal is prohibited. I believe that has been the case. Wait. Okay, well, it was not described that way. That's correct. But bestiality content is banned. What was done was clarify what bestiality means for Subscribestar. So, feral animal sexual content. Content depicting explicit sexual activity involving non-anthropomorphic animals, feral characters, is prohibited. This includes but is not limited to realistic or stylized animals engaging in sexual acts presented for erotic purposes, explicit animal sexual activity created for sexual stimulation, feral or non-humanoid animals depicted in explicit sexual scenarios. I would argue that this includes Pokemon porn, as in literally Pokemon having sex. I would argue that this is like, imagine a dragon fucking a car, basically. That's banned. If the dragon is like overly draconic, it doesn't look too humanoid. This is something I knew was happening, but was happening in the same way lolicon bans were, whereas like limited creator by creator. Not everyone was affected, but this was then introduced by Subscribestar in their rules yesterday. As a ban on feral content, which includes these 3 things but is not limited to it. Then we get the anthropomorphic section, which is where you're seeing a lot of the memes from. Sexual content involving anthropomorphic characters, commonly referred to as furry characters, may be permitted only when all of the following conditions are met. 1, the characters possess clearly humanoid anatomy, such as arms, human-like knee orientation, female presenting nipples, human-like knee orientation, and an upright body posture. No sexual interaction occurs between humans and animals or animal-derived creatures. The characters do not appear underage. The content does not violate any other section of this policy. Content may be restricted or removed if characters appear predominantly animal-like, feral, or lack clearly humanoid anatomy. In such cases, the content may be evaluated under the bestiality and human-animal sexual activity or feral animal sexual content sections of this policy. Let us go to the Patreon policy really quickly, just because a lot of people are saying this was worse than Patreon. So let me read through what Patreon says. Bestiality refers to sexual activities or relationships involving humans and animals. Not permitted. Sexual activity between a human and any animal that exists in the real world. Depictions or glorification of animal genitals. Patreon allows same species sexual interaction between fictional or mythological creatures. Sexual interaction between a human and a fictional mythological creature that is more humanistic than animal. Animated depictions of sexual activity between anthropomorphic characters such as furries, and personal accounts or survival stories involving bestiality, or educational or journalistic works about bestiality within a non-glorified context or narrative. So Patreon basically said you can't show a human and an animal having sex, you can't glorify animal genitals, but It's okay to have same species sexual interactions between fictional and mythological creatures, and sexual interactions between a human and a fictional mythological creature that is more humanistic than animal. Whereas Subscribestar said no sexual interaction occurs between humans and animals or animal-derived creatures. Whereas, again, Patreon says it is permitted to have sexual interaction between a human and a fictional mythological creature that is more humanistic than animal. So this was more intense than Patreon's ban. This is actually Subscribestar becoming more censorious than Patreon in this moment. So this has been removed. This has been removed. And now all that exists is bestiality and human-animal sexual activity. Any depiction of sexual activity between a human and an animal is prohibited. However, Crossman just got an excellent reply from Subscribestar that says this: any ambiguous updates to the TOS have been reverted. If anyone is concerned about the TOS or content policy, please note that these updates do not change our operations or screening processes. They are simply intended to make certain points more explicit for compliance purposes, not to introduce any form of censorship. We will continue refining the wording to make the policies clearer. So what this does suggest to me is I think we will see the feral and furry section returned. And they will continue to update these policies over the week ahead as confusion emerges on social media. So keep an eye out. There will probably be more changes. I will update as more changes occur, and I will go through what is and isn't new. So keep an eye out. I will continue to update on social media. And if you're watching this VOD or whatever, just keep in mind that you are seeing what's only up to date as of literally 11/21 ET March 11th. So there are likely changes happening. But yes, this is more restrictive. This is currently gone from the live version of the prohibited content policy. But again, I think it's going to come back. The line that this is simply kind of updating and changing their operations or screening purposes, we have seen that again and again from social media companies via their trust and safety teams. That's often just a way of basically slipping in stuff that they have been doing into the rules, and also stuff they haven't been doing into the rules, is my personal experience. It's just kind of, they'll say that as sort of like a blanket way to calm the waters. Now, it is true, though, that they have been limiting and banning like lolly and feral content, but the good news is if this truly is to them, just if they're not going to increase moderation further and they're stressing that this is just kind of reflection of what has been going on, if that is really true, if that is truly the case for Subscribestar, then you probably won't see creators heavily moderated, and Subscribestar will likely remain to be a low moderation place where only some creators get dinged. So there is a silver lining here for a lot of artists, which is like you can operate under the radar for a significant amount of time at this current point in time, and I think that will continue to be the case. Patreon is able to implement a lot of moderation because it is a big company and it can use like advanced AI. It's always struck me as the case with Subscribestar that a lot of stuff flies under the radar for a significant amount of time. So let me catch up with chat. I see Ember's here. Hello. Oh, we have so many people saying so many things. Okay, let me catch up. Proposition. Certain kinds of content may be banned through government legislation, but extremely sparsely and very carefully deliberated on. A second layer of independent platform moderation, which can govern how it likes. Third and final layer is individual feed control, where one may simply block the things they don't want to see. It would be nice, but nothing is going to change because Congress doesn't care about this issue. A lot of nonprofits don't care about this issue. Like, they see Congress as like gridlocked and not very eager to fix this problem, and no one in the White House cares about this issue either because they only care about the debanking of political content. A lot of like Trump admin loyalists hate porn, so it would be nice if we had some sort of solution to this problem, and I think 20-30 years ago we would be able to get one on the congressional level, but this country doesn't work, so you can't fix this issue. That's why it's so depressing to a lot of people. Because this in the U.S. this issue can't be fixed. Like it's everyone has decided to vacate responsibility to deal with this problem, which is why I said like at some point the only solution is probably going to be like literally protesting in front of MasterCard because there's nothing left. Like literally you're gonna have to go to like their New York headquarters or like IRL headquarters and protest, or their campus in upstate New York and protest. Because there's no other option. Like these fucks keep doing this. Like, the only thing that can be done is like a massive upswell saying like, fuck you. They're coming for my damn Pokemon. The furry knee art has been fun to watch, yeah. Hi, Beer. Interesting. I imagine people who are looking for realistic animal sex could just go to Discovery. That's pretty funny. Human-like knee orientation is crazy, dog. It is a crazy statement. My guess is that they would ban furry outright if most of their ID workers weren't furries. Actually, furries don't have backward knees. That's the ankle. Furries already have human-like knee orientation. So Patreon would allow, say, centaur sex, but SS doesn't. I mean, I think that clearly humanoid anatomy, but also the aspect of like, I think like human centaur sex is out. I don't know about centaur sex. I don't know. Patreon's wording is very thorough and specific to allow more for furry creators. It's not great because like knots and stuff are still not allowed, but ugh. Hey, Ember. Yeah, it needs to be understood that like this is a worse ban for furry creators. And a lot of furry creators obviously did move to Subscribestar because there were no regulations like this affecting furry creators in the original version, as we discussed. So, policy version 5 MK Mark II final, this time for real final. Oh, Coblin's here. Hello. Hi, Coblin. Hello. The pot is not boiling too fast. Hey, Gamer Taku. So question, thoughts on just hosting your own site? Okay, so I talked about this a little bit. I host my own site. I like hosting my own site, but I don't monetize it. And the issue is, if you want to monetize your own site, you either have to work with a high-risk pay pro, or you have to push your luck with Stripe or something like that, who's inevitably going to come down on you. And if you work with a high-risk pay pro, there's still a lot of limitations on content that you can post. There's a significant amount that you're not safe from the wrath of MasterCard and Visa, and there is at the same time the issue that you have to usually pay a lot of money to work with those high-risk pay pros. They take a high cut, and you never know whether their policies are going to have to change because MasterCard and Visa throw a temper tantrum. Now, there are services like Coupa Solutions, and Coupa Solutions I like a lot. Like they've just been around for a while that do have some policies in place to make this easier for creators. You pay like $110 a month, and they do like the hosting for you. It's not a bad deal, honestly. And they, but even them, I'm sure, have some limitations on what content they can host for you. As like an adult website hosting platform, I'm sure there are certain limitations on what they actually can host. So it is a solution. If you want to monetize it, it is less so. And you also have to be careful of who you host with, because technically hosting adult content may upset some of the like server instance companies out there. Most likely not for the time being to be an issue, but it's just something to keep an eye on. But it is a solution if you just need your content somewhere, and if you want to push your luck with trying to monetize that way, you're welcome to, but it's a band-aid at best is what I would say. I like hosting my own content with my own website, but it's all free. And I made that decision for a reason, because I knew that I would not be able to just monetize my content, period. Like, it just, at some point, someone would get upset, and no more monetized website. And it is expensive, as Homer said. Like, working with these pay pros is expensive. Getting everything up is expensive. Hiring someone to manage your website is expensive, because let's be real, most content creators, they don't have the time to do web maintenance. So thank you, NYCCAS, for the follow. Personal take, would certainly reduce attack service, but should there be a direct hit in your own self-hosted website, you take 100% of the liability. That is also true as well. And keep in mind, you also have to now comply with all this crazy age verification stuff too, which, I mean, a lot of smaller websites just ignore it, just waiting to get hit with a lawsuit. I will riot over my centaur sex and centaur smut. I know. It's funny, especially considering all the sex pests in charge and we're scam gamba the country, but no, this is the line. Okay, sure. I was, Yogi actually sent this to me. She had like a really funny tweet. I thought it was really good. Let me get it up. Because we're going to talk about Yogi and how she's handling this. Because Yogi is like a big inspo of mine, and she She talked about how she's handling this for her career going forward. So she tweeted, pizza party on Epstein Island, $400. Refueling the jet, $12,000. Looking at fictional porn on the internet, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. I mean, somewhere along the line, MasterCard must have been touching some of those payments that had to do with the island. So, yeah, like if we were to do this, we would need to make a free website that takes donations to get that ship running. I think I legitimately would consider talking to Koopa Solutions, but I want to figure out a lot of things first because it is $110 a month, and I want to make sure the content I host they could do with their Pay Pro system. And also, we just need to make sure we're the right fit. They just might not want to work with me personally for any reason, which is fine. All right, let's continue, though, because there's still a lot to go through. Depiction of prohibited family relationships. So this is the incest ban. Content depicting sexual relationships between close family members is prohibited, including parent-child relationships, sibling relationships, grandparent relationships, and other immediate family relationships. These restrictions apply regardless of whether the characters are fictional or animated. So anyone that wants to draw a coffin of Andy and Lele, sex with Andy and Lele hooking up, nope. There was originally, as we talked about earlier, the incest limitations in the original prohibited content guidelines, but this is clearly more specific and is clearly being enforced, or not clearly being enforced, but clearly they are thinking more heavily about what to limit. And I didn't really see a lot of cases in the past of incest content actually being affected in any way. I always kind of got the impression what they were targeting was more advocacy for incest, or bestiality or rape in their original obscenity, abuse, harm. This always read to me as them saying if you're advocating for this material, we're going to target you. We're going to ban your content. At least that's one reading I had of it. Non-consensual sexual activity. Content depicting rape, coercion, or non-consensual sexual acts is prohibited. This is a ban on non-con, period. This includes situations where consent is removed through force or threats, manipulation or coercion, mind control or hypnosis, drugs, intoxication, or incapacitation. Bam! Non-con hypnosis ban. Patreon and Subscribestar are now just as restrictive, officially codified, when it comes to hypnosis content that has non-con themes. This also should be understood as basically dubcon at best existing in a gray area, at worst often getting potentially targeted, because we are talking about the removal of consent through force or threats, manipulation or coercion, drugs, intoxication, or incapacitation. So if you have a character saying now that I've bound you, do you want to give me something special? You can't get away. You might as well give in. Yeah, you can't do that in Subscribestar anymore. So this obviously affects my content, and we'll talk about what this means for me. Extreme gore and violent sexual content. Content may not depict sexualized violence or extreme graphic harm, including explicit dismemberment, exposed organs, graphic mutilation, or sexualized depictions of death or execution. Stylized violence comparable to films, comics, or video games may be permitted when not graphic or sexualized. No Garo, no Arrow Garo, you can't have that. I would also be concerned if you're a hardcore creator trying to depict digestion and with viscera. I would be a bit nervous about doing that. If you want to depict bones crunching like a tiny, I wanted to do more hardcore content. I need to think about what that means because of this. Obscene or degrading content. Obscene or degrading content intended primarily to shock, humiliate, degrade, or disgust may be restricted or prohibited. This includes, but is not limited to, fetishized bodily waste, extreme bodily fluids, explicit degradation imagery, and content intended primarily to cause disgust rather than depict typical adult media. Well, first of all, what's typical adult material? Typical adult material. But secondly, fetishized bodily waste is also vague. Obviously that means scat, disposal content. Does it mean urine? Water sports? I don't know. Extreme bodily fluids obviously means blood. But it's hard to say what fetishized bodily waste really truly is. Urine and shit, maybe? They didn't just say shit, so maybe they mean urine as well. But they didn't explicitly state shit and urine. it's just obvious. It's obviously shit, but we don't know whether urine is also impacted. So scat content, disposal content, I would be nervous about. So much I want to say about obscenity. So it's so fucking broad. It's huge. We were talking about this. You messaged me about it. Like, it's so broad. It's completely unclear what fetishized bodily waste is, or what really truly is obscene or degrading content. Like, they are not being specific. They need more examples. Taking my disposal content away, you're in trouble now. I feel like you'd apply it to general vor. That's my concern as well. Like, it's just, you don't know. No one knows. What is...
I like giantess vor and other size content.
I do, Delirious. I like giantess vor and other size content. Thank you, Hasanabi. We don't know what explicit degradation imagery is. We don't know what content intended primarily to cause disgust rather than to depict typical adult material. I would at least rather see Subscribestar say, this is what we mean. This is what fetishes or kinks are targeted. But I think Substar constantly likes to play this game where they like to be like vague posting. They like to be vague about it, so that because they know for marketing purposes, if they're too specific, if they give their hand a little too much about what might upset pay pros, they're gonna lose creators. I mean, they're already gonna lose a lot of creators, but this is like kind of like stemming the bleeding. It's triaging, right? They're not gonna necessarily say, unless they have to, like, you can't depict this content, this fetish, this kink, this fetish, because they also like want to make sure that like you and I don't leave Substar immediately, you know. So it's not very great. Like, Substar didn't notify any of us about this. Like, we all had to find this out on our own consistently throughout this whole process. Like the wallet thing that magically appeared and then disappeared. Like our fans' payment information being wiped. These changes, they have been so untransparent in order to prevent panic. It's been an awful PR strategy. Like, it makes us not want to work with Subscribestar because it feels like they're manipulative, you know? That wording is almost certainly intended to include scout and water sports. That's my thinking, because it is extreme bodily fluids. Is that Hassan? Yeah, that was Hassan saying it. Someone play the Giannis 4 clip again. How other sites survive this? They can't. They're worse than Patreon now. It is now just a repository for people that got banned from Patreon. That's it. Like, it's not a repository for people that are nervous about Patreon.
Giantess vor and other size content.
Oh, it's like cool water on a hot summer day. Give me that Hassan talking about Giantess vor and other size content. I like Giantess vor and other size content. He's reading a Chibi Reviews post that's supposed to be like a Chibi Reviews, like, don't open dead dove inside sort of thing.
I like giantess vor and other size content.
He's reading like a Chibi Reviews post when he was talking about Chibi Reviews is like Chibi Reviews getting cooked. And he said that, and all my friends were like, you have to put that on your stream. And I was like, I already want to put it on my stream. So does this affect explicitly consensual hypno? No. Consensual hypno is fine. As long as it's explicitly consensual, there's no gray area. Yeah, excellent Hassan line. But yeah, this is bad. The vagary is bad, and this is common Substar L. They love to do this vague posting. They're constantly vague posting all over the place. It's awful. It's terrible. This is how it works, though. This is their MO. Like, they like to be very vague and not communicate a lot to basically lure creators in. I'm not going to read too much about the stuff that doesn't primarily affect adult content. Just know that, like, there's more explicit, or is this particularly new? Synthetic media and deepfakes. They just expanded the synthetic media and deepfakes area here a little bit. Presenting, advocating, or promoting animal cruelty or abuse in any shape or form is prohibited. Services, conversations, products that promote hate, violence, discrimination, terrorism, harassment, or abuse, and then self-harm or suicide. So the only other thing to pay attention to, this stuff's not new, is people have been looking at the bottom areas here. I'm not going to talk about this much, even though it has to do with politics and like social campaigning. It's just not in the purview of the adult content stuff, so I'm not really going to talk about it. But thank you for the follow, by the way. Taka Notoro, I appreciate that. I did send like all this information to Taylor Lorenz, and I told Taylor, like, hey, heads up, they also have this stuff about here. So I'm hoping that she also digs into this a little bit. And if she does, that would be great. And I hope that she digs into this from the political aspect. I haven't reviewed this enough yet, so I can't give good analysis. I don't want to give you guys like my like, wow, this is bad or this is good. I don't know. Like, wow, this is something. I don't want to be like an Asmongold Rev style. Like, I'm noticing things. I'm reacting and noticing right now. Like, I've done my research on everything discussed here. All right, external links. Taylor, please. I sent it to Taylor. I'm hoping. I mean, like, she was like, "Oh man, that's awful." Like, I sent her the info, so I'm hoping that she digs into it a little bit and talks about it. I mean, she is like the only journalist that's truly given a shit about this issue, besides Ash Parrish. Like, there are not many other. Well, let me put it this way: actively covering it. Like, also Ash was actively covering at The Verge. Otherwise, like, it's been a true like drought on this issue. Like, you ain't seeing like Aftermath covering this. External links and embedded content. The following actions are not permitted. So this is the Proton Drive, Google Drive, Mega Drive rule. Linking to third-party websites containing prohibited content. Embedding prohibited material inside files, archives, PDFs, or executables, or other uploaded materials. No turning a PNG into like a zip file or whatever. Using external links or embedded content to circumvent platform policies. This restriction applies regardless of whether the content belongs to you or to a third party. So this means that if you are hosting prohibited content on Proton Drive, on Google Drive, on a Mega Drive, that is not allowed on Subscribestar. Now, how intensely is Subscribestar going to moderate this? I don't know. I can't tell you whether Subscribestar is going to sit there and say, we are actively reviewing like a ton of people that have these drives and asking for like access to look at over their information, or whether it's like some people will be caught. This is obviously on their mind because they put this rule in. They know that this is something people have been doing on Patreon, for example. How they're going to execute it, I just simply don't know, and I cannot tell you right now. We're going to have to see like how much moderation does or does not increase on Subscribestar and whether you can basically get away with this. Lastly, compliance and platform rights. Subscribestar operates in compliance with legal regulations, payment processors, and acquiring banks. As a result, some restrictions on this page may be stricter than general legal standards. If a creator's content does not align with this policy, Subscribestar reserves the right to remove or relocate the creator's profile to a partner platform that better supports the type of content being produced. Such action may occur with or without prior notice and may be taken in order to preserve the creator's income stream, prevent the creator's account from being terminated, and maintain compliance with financial and regulatory partners. This list is not exhaustive and may change in the future as technologies, laws, and compliance standards evolve. If you are not sure whether your content falls into a prohibited category, please contact us before publishing. A lot of people speculated whether this means Substar will basically create the Substar to Substar. I don't think that this is what this means at all. I think this means what Ember went through, which is if they find that you're posting real person content, they just yeet you on over to their OnlyFans alternative. I forget the name. Like, it's no one uses it. It's so unused because there's like a million better platforms with more clients. But that is everything that's changed with Subscribestar. Obviously, this is a really big change. This is quite huge. I will catch up a little bit. I'm going to talk about how some creators are responding. I'm going to represent mostly like a lot of the sentiments through reading Yogi's post because I just think she captures it really well. I'll talk about how I am responding personally, and also I'm going to do news sweeps as we discuss because I'm sure Subscribestar stuff is going to be going around. People are going to be talking about a bunch of alternatives. I have a Reddit post up that talks about alternative websites. It's just a fat mess, guys. If I wasn't radicalized before, I am now. I cannot tell you how many people are like, I don't like Lolicon, but I'm tolerant of it now because of everything that's been happening. Like, it's actually wild how much things are changing. And like, it's a decade and a year type situation's been happening. Because people realize now, like, it starts with like, oh, I don't know about this 1,000-year-old vampire. And then it ends with like, you cannot hypnotize people without their explicit consent, you know, so. I think the biggest thing about this is the fact that Substar was the place for kinks to exist that couldn't exist on all the other websites. A wide range of kinks are now wholesale debanked and unmonetizable. Like I do disposal stuff. I don't even know where to take that stuff anymore. Ember reflects something really well. I'm actually gonna piggyback off that before reading the rest of chat immediately to just talk about what Yogi said, because Yogi is one of my inspos. I love her a lot. She's very sweet. I'm working on a fan audio for her right now, and I'm like, fuck, where do I post it? because it's of her nurse girl Toki. And it's a little non-con themed because like she's like a mad scientist nurse girl, bunny girl. And I'm gonna read what Yogi said because I think what you're saying, Ember, reflects what Yogi said. It happened. Substar changed their terms of service. Okay, let me explain Yogi's content if you don't know her. I'm sure a lot of folks here do. But Yogi does content that is very like, she's the origin of the we consent, I consent with the person like, you know, like saying the bubble. I actually have a version that she did for me when I commissioned her of myself saying I consent that I'll upload later. But I commissioned her like in 2024. It was one of my favorite commissions ever. So Yogi does a lot of like BDSM, like dubcon, non-con style stuff, plays with like some fun kinks in that setting. But, you know, every character says like I consent, we consent. It was sort of like a response to Patreon. And like she's definitely the kind of artist that tends to be hit by these sorts of payment processor restrictions. So it happened. Substar changed their terms of service. The images I draw could now be argued as breaking terms of service. I've sent them an email asking for clarification, but let's be real. The world is changing. What I draw isn't palatable to payment providers, and without them, I can't earn money. Heavy-hearted, I've decided it's time to adapt. To comply with these shifting rules, I'll be drawing tamer content going forward. You'll still see BDSM themes, you'll still see hentai, but the rougher scenarios, I can't do anymore without risking everything I've built. Does that suck? Absolutely. Can I do anything about it? No. I'm faced with a choice. Call it quits or adapt. I've come too far to stop now. I know this will probably alienate some of you, and I'm sorry it came to this. My hands are tied in the non-sexy way. At the end of the day, I have bills to pay. Artistic integrity has to take a step back. Before you go, I'm asking you to stay a bit longer. See how these changes play out. I'll do my best to still deliver what you want with the means I have. If you decide my focus has shifted too much, I'll still be grateful you were here for as long as you were. Let's not be sad. Let's take this as an opportunity to transform. It's the best we can do. Please don't hesitate to ask if you have questions. I'll gladly answer them as best as I can. I love you all. Yo. Also added here, and I think this is important to include, I appreciate all the advice and creative loophole ideas, but they're not going to work. Rules are rules. I'm running a business here, not a game of how long until I get banned. But yo, artist XYZ has been doing this for years on Patreon and they're still fine. Cool, good for them. I'm not playing Russian roulette with my livelihood and crowdfunding content moderation teams. They'll get banned eventually too. It's not if, it's when. Let's be realistic. I've been through this multiple times. Oh, one second. I'm so sorry. This whole time, like, I've had Firefox, like, music doubling. Let's be realistic. I've been through this multiple times. I've even tried building my own payment gateways. Oh, the text is... multiple times. You know what I learned? At the end of the day, I'm at the mercy of the platforms I work with. If they don't want my content, I have two options. Change what I create or stop creating. There is no secret third option, where I outsmart a company that can change its modus operandi at any time. There's also no point hunting for TOS loopholes. These platforms aren't local governments with obscure laws you can cheese. They're private companies. If they don't want me there, they kick me out. That's it. No appeal process, no clever argument that saves the day. My only choice is to follow their rules or find a new career. So I'm following their rules. Guys, this is the end result of all of this. It's artists either get wiped off the internet because they say like, fuck this, I'm going to keep doing what I do. And then, I can't be an artist anymore. Or the content you want to see goes away. That's it. The content you want to see has to go away. Like, I think it's important to stress that this is unsustainable, either for free speech as a concept, because free speech gets completely eroded by this like late capitalist dystopia we live in, or it causes like this rupture among people, and God knows what's going to happen as a result. I'm not saying like it's even a good thing. Like, people getting very angry about stuff on the internet is prone to everything from real lasting change happening to bonkers conspiracy theories about minorities causing all of the censorship of porn. Like, I don't know, but it's not sustainable. Like, this is not a tenable thing because artists are have to censor themselves because of this stuff. I don't know how to change this. I actually don't know. Like, I've suggested maybe at this point we literally have to go to payment processors. offices and protest in front of them, but I don't even know if that will work. I don't know how to fix this issue. I don't know. I wish I did. I don't know. This breaks my heart so damn much. It breaks mine. I love Yogi's work. I've always admired that she like would do content that was just spoke to her. And it breaks my heart that she has to do this. I respect her decision 1,000%. Like 1,000%. I think this is a very wise business decision from her. But it breaks my heart that she has to make this decision. Question: as distasteful as it is, would crypto not be a way around Visa and MasterCard? People don't want to adopt crypto. They just don't. It's taken such a big PR loss. Like, people don't trust crypto. They don't trust it as an alternative. They don't want to touch it. And a lot of it is because, like, the scammers came in and ruined its reputation. Like, it's known as the rug pull, like, pump and dump thing. So a lot of people are not going to touch crypto. Like, it's hard, but, like, I would love to sit here and say we have to move to crypto, folks. That's the solution. But a lot of people would accuse me of trying to get together Anacoin for a pump and dump. You know, a little rug pull. So it's just not a winning move. People don't want it. It's a good question, only Afro. You're not the only one asking it. Don't get me wrong. It's just, man, you know, man, not great. Let me catch up with chat. If it's fictive where no abuse happens, then it should not be of concern to law enforcement to such a degree. Real life victims are being sidelined. I do agree, little Siberian beer. The thing is, in the case of banking, having universal methods of digital pay is useful, but also monopolies should never ever be owned by people. Visa and MasterCard need to be dismantled into globally democratic run nonprofits. Payment processors, credit card companies, these things should be public. It should be public infrastructure. It should be something that is not operating in a for-profit nature. It is insane that this is the way our payment structures work. Like, this is insanity. This is like, it's like a free speech violation. And a functioning government would identify it as such and immediately outlaw this. The plight of adult content creators is so unfair that I threw my Spire run in solidarity. So true. Yeah, Riot Models was the OnlyFans alternative. No one uses Riot Models. No one uses it. All these payment processor policies are regulating fiction and fictional content. This does absolutely nothing to improve safety online to any degree. We should be allowed to create what we want, even if it's obscene. Agreed. You learn who your allies are in times of war, even if uneasy. Truth nuke, as they say. Truth nuke. But yeah, Homer, I think Homer, you posted this in private admin. And I was like, yeah, I saw this and like, it makes me nearly want to cry. I really like her art so much. And she's still going to create amazing art. She's not thrown in the towel, but, Yoga and I have talked about these issues. We talked about Discord alternatives too. And, she's a realist about this stuff, and I am too. Like, both of us were talking about this a little bit. And how, like, for example, like, people want to escape ID verification on Discord by going to a Discord alternative, and it's like, to where? Oh, so you can go to like Stoat and then do the same thing all over again? Because eventually they're going to have to do it. This is a legal issue. So, gamers put pressure on payment processors to counter the conservative pressure on the payment processors that push them to try and restrict content games available on Steam. My thing, I definitely agree, Shiji, and there was a really good movement in the summer, but the moment Charlie Kirk got popped, none of them cared anymore. And my concern is that calling is not enough. And that, like, getting a political coalition that's like across the political spectrum, which is, it was uneasy, but it existed. My fear is that it's easily distracted because, like, you're gonna see like Chibi Reviews talk about this right now, right? But like Chibi Reviews is gonna get distracted by something else that's political and then not talk about this for a while, you know. I like the idea also, but there isn't anything that exists as easy to use or that can be easily hosted regarding crypto. It would be too much of a hassle for the consumer. You'd have to have a crypto wallet just for your porn, and most people won't do that. True. I remember having a conversation about this and trying to get sex workers clients onto Twitter, the federated sex worker social media, and trying to get clients on a Proton Mail, and for end-to-end encrypted conversations. So if like a sex worker got arrested or a client got arrested, there wouldn't be evidence via Proton Mail because it would be encrypted. And they just couldn't get clients to do it. Like, these old guys don't understand email. They don't understand the Fediverse. They don't want to be there. They don't want to be on Proton Mail. They don't want to be on the Fediverse. They want to see their sex worker blow 250 and get out of there. And they'll use Gmail or Hotmail to do it. So it's really hard it's never underestimate the level to which your consumer quickly and easily wants access to your content. This is why so many people have stuck around on Patreon, for example, even though it is a moderation hellhole, because that's where the people are. Even if it weren't socially abhorred, it's unfortunately not foolproof. That's also true as well. Crypto is too volatile. Also is simply unwieldy. Yeah. Hey, Effluent Evanescence. Isn't a pump and dump just FinDom for a crowd that doesn't know what FinDom is? The ultimate rug pull getting FinDomed. Or FinDom. The ultimate FinDom is getting rug pulled. Do you have a plan for what your lane looks like right now? I'll talk about that briefly. Let me just catch up with chat, but that's a good question, Ravine. If a crypto payment method existed that was very easy to use, I'd adopt it tomorrow, but at the moment it does not exist. Would a public banking system not also run to the same issues should the government go dystopian? My hope, Ari, in a case like that is that there would be checks and balances, which we are kind of seeing with the Fed right now, with the total freak out about like Trump trying to basically molest the Fed and interest rates, which is promising in the U.S. Like, it's actually pretty promising that a lot of U.S. institutions do not feel comfortable with like Trumpian governing. I've heard of some alternatives that are like to crypto that are out there, like, was it Parser, Pacer, but none of them are fully ready yet to go. None of them are fully ready yet. What did you say, Raven? Yeah, we got like 70 plus people in here. The Brazilian Pix instant banking payment system is the ideal system. Yeah, I would like to see Pix hit places that are not just Brazil. But you can't just like copy and paste Pix because it's also like a governmental thing. It's like it requires like institutions inside like the government to embrace it. Convenience is paramount for the consumer. Streaming platforms like Spotify, etc. are huge examples of this. The downtrend of music piracy. Yours are hating. What did Raven say? Oh, I missed. I didn't even wait. Okay, I have Chatterino up. I can just click your name and it shows me. Yours. I am EP. The plight of adult content creators is. I read that, Raven. I read you. The plight of adult content creators is so unfair that I threw my spy run in solidarity. I read you. Many such cases. I said many such cases. You're so hard on yourself. You don't even realize that I already recognize my good girl. Hello, Jessica Davis. Hello. The drama was insane. I can't believe Niara, a friend of mine, blocked me on Twitter, and this was totally not just a bit we did to troll. All these people thought it was serious. It was really funny. We find it really funny that people like obsess with us and like they see us post on stuff and immediately they see us talk about stuff. Cause like, okay, like I saw someone talked about me saying Smuggalana is more popular than Kirsha, which is true. And then Smuggalana spent like 20 minutes on her stream talking about how like you're not in it for the fun if like you're paying attention to numbers and you're just being like a numbers Andy. And I'm like, Smuggalana, I was saying you're more popular. But also like, it's so funny because like everyone pays attention to their numbers. You run a business. You have to. Like, it's such cope to be like, it's so crazy to look at the numbers. Yeah, I'm a journalist. My job is to look at the funny numbers. That's what we do. That's what everyone does. Everyone looks at the fucking numbers, bro. Like, it doesn't mean you as a creator have to take it seriously, but it's so funny. Like it's I mean, like, I'm not even gonna get into it that like just because someone has a higher CCV doesn't mean their cultural influence is stronger, you know. Like Smuggalana has more cultural impact than Kirsha, and there's a lot of other ways to prove it too, like who Smuggalana is networked with, or like just the fact that like her YouTube videos are just perform better than Kirsha's, but I'm not going to get into it right now. I just find it really funny. She got very defensive about me saying she was more popular than Kirsha. I'm apparently banned from her Twitch. Someone's a little sensitive. Even you getting halfway through that joke maybe double take, lol. I do have an idea, Anna, but I do want to say it after stream. Yeah, it's all good. My country's a shithole, but somehow we escaped Visa MasterCard, so I'm praying something can come and all of you beautiful people can keep earning what you deserve. Thank you, Afro. Hi, Azia Sapphire. It's a very human thing to pay attention to numbers. It's, I used to watch her, but then stopped after learning she supports husband comp. I mean, like, Smugglana just does make decisions to prevent her from being as sidelined as Kirsha. Like, that's just the reality. Like, she has, like, a we respect people's pronouns rule. Like, I remember people freak out about that all the time. They're like, oh my god, why are you correctly gendering Anna? You can't do that. Alana, you need to stop. And it's like, dude, it's so unserious. We're fucking anime girls over the internet. Like, dude, it's such a joke. It's so funny that there's people that spend all day at home, like, posting on Twitter about this shit. It's so funny to me. Like, don't you have a wife? It's real, like, I sleep. Wait, no, let me get it up really quickly. Let me get it. I'm just gonna get up the clip because I can. I'm gonna get up the clip. Simpsons. This is what it feels like being a VTuber over 30 that has, like, other things going on in their life than, like, VTuber Twitter. This is what it feels like sometimes. This is literally what it feels like sometimes. Like, all these people, like, over 30 obsessing over anime girls over the internet.
Singles life is great, Homer. I can do whatever I want. Today I drank a beer in the bathroom.
The one down the hall.
Yeah, and another great thing, you get your own bed. I sleep in a racing car. Do you?
I sleep in a big bed with my wife.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it really does feel like that sometimes in VTubing. You're just, people will be like, oh, did you see you got owned on Twitter? I'm like, I was having sex. I was actively in that moment on a date. I'm sorry, my life does not revolve around, like, whatever, like, like, whatever some random right-wing person posts. Let me go back to what I was looking for.
Singles life.
There we go. It's crazy, by the way. Let me get back up. Whoa, 1 second. Here we go. This playlist is crazy that I'm about to get up. Was this? No, it's the wrong one.
Singles life is great, Homer.
I'm sorry.
I can do whatever I want.
I don't know what I did with my own playlist.
No.
Don't nut. It's no nut March. You can't nut on my stream. You're banned from doing that. No nutting. Unless I'm there to enjoy it. Where is it? Ah! Nice one. Cuck. Okay, let me get my cucks in a row. Oh, here it is. This screen is crazy for this, by the way. Why is it Squidward on a Newport? Why is he on a Newport? What are he can't be doing all that. Why is he doing that? Hey, you can't play that. That probably violates Upstar's policies. Hi, can't find names. 69. How are you? Yeah, this shit goes hard. Sorry, I can't come to the rage baiting. I have awesome T for T sex with my banging wife. It's so funny. It's a very human thing to be rage baiting people over the internet while you're having sex. I do enjoy rage baiting and VTubing. Like, it's really fun. You just, like, say stuff on stream and you wait for them to clip you and then you don't respond to them. and then you just kind of rinse and repeat. And it's really funny because they can't help themselves because they all need Twitter bucks to like pay for rent. So like they keep on being like boosting you, and their fans will be like, stop it, we can't have any more Anna, no. It's so funny to me. It's like, bro, go outside. All right. Yeah. In terms of what this means for me, first I'm gonna do a news sweep and just make sure nothing new has dropped on this front. I actually still need to talk about Subscribestar alternatives that people are talking about, because I've seen people yap about different ones, but I'm not really sure what we're all going to. I'm not really sure what we're gonna do, what's happening, all those things. I'll talk a little bit about what I am deciding to do, but that's gonna be it. There is conversation about Riot models, and people think that you can post art on there that is banned from Subscribestar, but I'm pretty sure Riot models is only for IRL modeling content. I don't think there's a reason why you could actually add your digital content there. I'm trying to look and see. I think they just changed their TOS again live. Did they? No, I'm joking. No, I'm joking. Never mind, they didn't. I'm just going through Blue Sky and seeing what people are talking about, and same with Twitter. All right. All right. Okay. This is from someone who says they were the first artist on Subscribestar Adult and talked to them before they created Subscribestar Adult. This is from Aramix. Hello and thank you for the help. This is from, let me zoom in a little bit actually so you guys, yeah, okay. And then move this a little bit. Let me cook, child, let me cook. From February 2019. Hello and thank you for the help, Artemarts. I'm looking forward to having my Subscribestar profile reviewed. Recently, I've lost other channels of monetization because of PayPal not working on my country, so this would be an excellent outlet. However, of course, I'd like to know if this will be approved as soon as possible because of that reason. As you can see, I've added the page's address to my main social media profiles. I'm hoping to form part of the Subscribestar community, and I thank you for your service. Hi there, we are about to launch a separate platform for your type of content. 3D, 2D art, adult games. The motivation for that is simple. We really want your content to be safe, you to be paid, and not deplatformed for any silly reason. We'll let you know once we launch it. It's going to happen very soon. You are first in the queue. Hey guys, we want to create a site where you don't get deplatformed. There are now 20 standards of sites where you get deplatformed. It's literally the XKCD comic, and everyone always does this. They're like, I'm going to create a site where you will never get deplatformed. And then there are now 21 sites that deplatform you. Because you can't escape the payment processors, dude. It's MasterCard. It's Visa. If money exists and they're processing your payments, you are fucked. You can't escape it. That's not how this works. All right. So I'm going to talk about some of the alternatives I've seen people discuss. Let me catch up with chat too. Give me 1 second, chat. Obviously, it's very busy today. I've seen people discuss a couple alternatives. One that's not on the Reddit post I'm about to go through is Catbox. And I'm going to keep Catbox in mind. They have like a creator space. I'll talk about what I'm going to do, though, in a minute. I know I keep saying I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do. Mean when I'm noticing what I'm going to do. All right. So this is, I'm sorry, but we got to go on Reddit. This is Reddit. I'm sorry, but we got to go on Reddit. So this is Reddit. Again, I apologize for exposing you to Reddit. Let me catch up while I've read it up. You know, if all this happening, I could use a Newport. Yeah, I'm about to pound a monster. Like the drink. Like the drink. I'm about to pound the drink. Not a real... I'm about to pound a monster, bro. No tug twitch. Lucrative career after leaving Mr. Krabs, so true. That's Aura for real, rage bait successful. Stuff Italian to want to smoke, then while smoking a Newport. Wait, that's too much for a Substar. Save your lungs, smoke on micro instead. If you smoke anything, it's bad for your lungs. It's just nicotine and tobacco are obviously worse. Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. That is a good rage bait. Kind of debacle happened not long ago. VR chat, AV creators too damn feels like this whole thing every year. Oh yeah, hi Goose. It's all the time. I will say people saying go to Fanbox need to understand that site forces Japanese censorship. Yes, it's not really a great alternative. Honestly, at this point, it might be easier to protest Japan's genital covering law. Hi, Fuzzpot. XKCD mentioned my Gina stream. Yeah. I'm going to create my own site with blackjack and hookies. I think that's called the Strawny Cuddles model. Spinning in my place to slow the spin of the Earth just to lengthen the time between XKC respites not working. What do you think Europe chances are creating a new payment processor? Well... So there's Europe discussions about that stuff, and then Elon yesterday talked about X Money, and he's been talking about X Money ever since the itch.io Steam situation, particularly the Steam situation, I think has more been motivating him. I think it'd be fascinating if we all end up using Elon bucks, and like that's the way we make porn. I don't think it's realistic, but it'd be really funny. He said we're getting X Money next month. I don't know. But I've definitely seen people say, like, I ain't doing the, like, KYC stuff for Elon. Anna could take, like, I said Elon. Anna could take, like, 3 monsters at once in a fight, right? You're gonna have sexual relations with an aluminum can? I always do. Fanbox is what I've seen a lot of Japanese artists use is more skewed to that demographic. There's different creators that use Fanbox. It's just it has its own censorship issues trying to comply with Japanese censorship laws. I would not trust Elon at all. Yeah, I wouldn't either. Europe has the digital euro system in the works, but it's years away. They've tried some things before that never got widespread adoption, but the digital euro is aiming for full adoption. I absolutely would not trust Elon at this point. Yeah, there's a lot of people that would not trust X Money. Anna is Elon's secret VTuber. Speaking of Elon, I still find it so strange how this shit is being peddled by some of the serial sex pests of all time. Yeah, it is insane that like you can't draw like Sailor Moon aged up, but if you want to go to Epstein's Island, you could just do that for like 2 decades. See you later, Jessica. Good to have you. Let me pound this monster really quickly. And then I'll read this and I'll talk about what this means for me. I know I keep saying like, we'll talk about what this means for me. We'll talk about what this means for me, but there's so much to talk about. So, okay, be right back. You actually can't go to Epstein's Island if you're Elon because you're that unlikable. Yeah, imagine being so unlikable you can't go to Pedophile Island. Fucking wild, dude. One second, guys. My monster nearly blew up. Now I have to wash my hands. My monster actually blew up all over me. Yo, can I get like 10 gifted just for existing in these troubling times, dude? Like, fuck. Oh, did I say something sus? Oh, okay. Well, actually, you can't go to Epstein's Island if you're. Oh, I read that. Really sucks to hear about this stuff, especially right after finding your content. You really have some good stuff. Thank you. Yeah, my monster exploded all over me. All right, so okay, first, I'm just going to talk really quickly about the Riot Models thing. Because there's a lot of people talking about whether Riot Models is actually going to be an alternative. So let me get that up really quickly, guys. Because I don't think so. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, thank you, Ari, for the T1. Thank you. Okay, riotmodels.com. I'm not going to show it on screen because it's like an adult site. Yep, that's something RATOSable. Designed for models and studios. Terms of service. About this platform. Let's see. This platform is adult-oriented content. Other categories of content may be deleted at our discretion. Let's see. I mean, Riot Models mostly discuss itself as a modeling website. Thank you, Shiji, for the T1. Thank you. Let me look really quickly. Because now I'm curious, because everyone's like, it could be Riot Models. I'm positive it's not Riot Models at all. It's like, it's not going to be an alternative site. Well, yeah, like, here's the thing, right? Okay, let me bring up. Oh, thank you for the 5 gifted. Thank you. Oh my god, I appreciate you so much. Okay, so here we go. Here's the Riot Models page, right? Do not upload posts for prohibited content. Do not upload post, display, or publish content Riot Models depicts, contains, or makes references to any person below the age of 18, or makes general references to person under 18, or any. Oh, Seraph, thank you for the 5 gifted. Thank you, Shiji. Thank you. Or any other person, unless you possess written proof verifying that everyone depicted or mentioned your content is at least. I am Coblin, that's true. 18 years old, and a written permission for each individual for the use of their name or likeness is not allowed to use the Riot Models if you are a user involved in any illegal activity. Do not upload, post, display, or publish on Riot Models content that shows, promotes, advertises, or refers to the following: incest, bestiality, violence, rape, lack of consent, sexual assault, torture, hypnosis, intoxication, sadomasochistic abuse, extreme fisting, genital mutilation, necrophilia, urine, scatological, or excrement-related material, revenge porn, any sexually explicit content of a person who has not provided prior explicit and fully informed consent for the content to be created, captured, or otherwise recorded, or B, upload and published on Riot Models, public nudity, still images, or videos in the case of which was produced in or is being broadcast from a country, state, or province where public nudity is illegal, fetish products, sexual enhancements, supplements, or products. So anyone saying, oh yeah, Riot Models is an alternative, this is what they are telling their IRL models. And I would not expect, if they allow you to use this as a Subscribe Star alternative, I would expect a lot of this stuff, which is basically at this point, like, covered by the subscribestar.adult situation. Like, a lot of content creators would still find themselves in weird gray areas. I don't really think Riot Models is, like, gonna be, like, the alternative people are looking for. Like, I'm pretty sure Subscribestar is gonna say you have to be on Subscribestar Adult if you're, like, posting images, and if that are, like, artwork or ASMR, and if you are not, then if you're posting IRL content, then Riot Models for you. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen. Like, I'm pretty sure. Fansly has more freedom. Hi, Wilma. Wouldn't basically everything count under 8 because our entire generation is dead inside? Yeah, so true. How do you feel about 6-7, Wilma? Why was 6 afraid of 7? Because 6-7. All right, Reddit. I'm going to have to show you guys Reddit now. I'm showing you Reddit. I'm really sorry. I would like to deeply apologize that I have to show you Reddit. I know what I did, Homer. I know what I did. Where Subscribestar creators can go. Ow. Thank you, ZJ Mac, for the follow. Alternative platform list. Another platform goes down. This is the fate of NSFW, I guess. The real truth is unless you have a really big follower base that you can build your own website, it's just hard to find a long-term home since no one really knows how payment and local laws will fuck you. TLDR. Oh, thank you, Coblin. Thank you. I appreciate that T1 gifted a 6-7 Labubu. What? Is that a real name? Did you just ask what I think of 6-7? What do you what is that Kirby with tits and real feet? Did I wake up in a fever dream? I feel like I just woke up in a fever dream. I feel like I'm waking up from a fever dream right now. It's a good day for famed size enjoyers. 6-7 Labubu, so true. Also, I have 69 viewers in chat right now. I'll switch to my B form. Buzz, buzz, buzz. TLDR, Pixiv, best for anime content except all R18, all R18G themes. Unifans accept all content as long as they are in external links. Fanseiko, story-driven content and doesn't accept certain characters. I like the big B. Oh, she's got fat tits. Good job, Wilma. I like it. Here are some options that I have experience in. Pixiv ecosystem, Fanbox and Booth. I'm pretty sure you're aware that they accept all kinds of anime content and extreme themes, however, furry and western cartoons won't gain any transaction there. One downside is that your followers have to buy Tora coins to purchase your content. This guide will help you better than I can. Withdrawal options include bank transfer, PayPal, and Wise. Unifans. This platform started 3 years ago. They pretty much accept all kinds of spicy content as long as you put them in external links. They accept all furries, lolly shota, but tags are banned. They provide 2 subscription types, tier and standalone, post-collection, post-purchase. They also use coin system, and users have to manually top up their accounts for monthly subscriptions. Withdrawal includes PayPal, Wise, and USDT. Platform fee system is a bit messy as they charge 6 to 10%, depending on the type of content you publish. Novels 6%, videos 10%. Payment options include USDT, Skrill, PayPal, and credit card. They hide PP. They hide PP. I do too sometimes when I go out, and CC periodically. I warn you, this site has a lot of bugs, and a lot of times you can't log in nor pay when their server is loaded. Oh, this is like going from like the back alley to like the dumpster to buy porn. Fanseiko, then there is us, the new club in town. We basically got sick of getting banned by Pixiv and Patreon, so we started building Fanseiko. We believe the Western subscription or fandom sector, particularly Patreon and those coffee sites, are so stagnated for over a decade that nothing new was built to develop the niche and creative sector. We aim to take over the story-driven content, anime, novel, and manga sectors with discovery features that can help both new and developed creators. Features we have now is Shop and still in the midst of perfecting fundamental features. We will provide tier subscription within a month and series subscription where once the novel manga series ends, you can sell it in Shop as a package. Okay. Content-wise, we are willing to accept the controversial themes through though keywords are banned to be used in tags. Content that is not allowed includes anything real, baby-looking characters, and furries with 4 legs. So no feral. We have prepared 2 crypto payment processors that accept fiat and crypto and pay us in crypto. I've already passed through the application process. It's not looking that promising out there, folks. It's giving you have to buy your porn in the dumpster. No. It's giving it's giving that. It's giving that. I'm doing a little bit of a news sweep. Catch up with chat. Feet. Oh, I love feet. 69. Is that an ER reference? Extra dogs out. Should I get a foot cam going eventually? Looking at the pics I've mentioned, can you imagine if Japan got rid of the mosaic law? I would be living like a queen. Oh, I would move to Japan immediately. Manual top up would probably be a deal breaker. Yeah, it ruins the whole entire subscription model. The point of the subscription model is that people, I'm going to be real. The point of the subscription model is that people forget that they're subscribed. That's what makes it really good. Like, that's just basic business. Like, in the same way that, like, what makes a gym membership awesome for gyms is that's a membership. You just keep it on. If you top it off every month you have to make a decision to actively subscribe. That's a little bit of a deal breaker for some folks, just because they will be, every month they have to decide whether they want to subscribe to you or not. That's why every fan site has a resubscribe as the default, because they also make more money. Not gonna lie, browsing the alternatives right now feels like either super niche or not really anything that's easy to use. I do think we're kind of cooked. It's not great out here. I agree, but also Substar was smaller and niche for a while till it blew up, so like this would happen no matter what. Yeah. As someone who's been reaping the benefits of this in social media since mid-2023, curious how viable a more decentralized federated platform for adult content could be. It's the same issue though, Ari. First of all, federated content platforms can be really difficult. There are a couple out there, but a lot of them, you guys are not going to like them. They're like lolly platforms. Like a lot of the ones on the Fediverse are like very chill lolly. But the other thing is like, it's just a pay pro issue. Like it's not really about the platform. Like Subscribestar is run by people who are very anti-censorship, but they had to do this in order to basically continue to have a business. Yeah. I think about Rplay on occasion might diversify to there, but feels like it wouldn't be anything primary. Did not intend as an ER ref, just needed to felinize it. Meow. 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 Wait, what's happened to Substar? Oh, Goose! You missed like 2 hours worth of content. I can't explain it all. The VOD will be up though, don't worry. Okay, yeah, admittedly, I'm also close with some large Fetty instance admins, and some of them are just straight up groomer rings. Well, the Fediverse just like it has a lot of adult artists that went there, and they just like do run websites that are very like hands off about all sorts of adult content. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where people are gonna go. I will say for me, I'm gonna continue to use Rplay. Rplay, I think for a lot of ASMRs that were on Substar and Patreon, I think it's going to blow up more. I think more people are going to use it just because it's there and they're very open-minded. Their content restrictions are very light. I think there's going to be more people using it. I just think so. People have very strong opinions about Rplay, but I think that's going to be the case. But yeah. It is crazy. It is crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what's gonna fully happen. I don't fully know, because the thing was, there always was at least 1 or 2 steps ahead of us. I will say this is a tricky situation because there always was 1 or 2 things ahead of us to grab onto if someone got censored. Like, oh, okay, like you got pulled from Patreon, you could go to Subscribestar. You know what I mean? Oh, you got pulled from OnlyFans? You can go to Fansly. And the problem with here is we're a little out of options right now. Like, I've also heard people talk about, what about Catbox? And I just don't know if that's feasible. Do you think the future for the time being would be to use these sites as tip jars, and like the stuff that would be too bad be made for free? Like they can't ding if you release the content for free. Let me think on it. Let me read what Shiji said. Yeah, I sometimes see questionable age hentai drawn anime characters on Mastodon. I personally report black. I chose an instance that better suit the experience I want to have, but it's never going to be perfect if you want to have stuff come up on your timeline. My thing is this. I have a Proton drive right now, and that exists for content that, like, I would not really feel comfortable at putting up on Patreon. It's sort of like what Carbo does with his Mega Drive. And I also put content on RPlay as well, and the Proton drive that's like VODs for my Twitch streams. So I have like the infrastructure in place if I need to like dump everything into like a drive that has a password that changes every month, and everyone just like finds a way. We find a way to plug in and play like a new subscription model where it's just like you check the drive. Like, it would be an option to just like upload everything to the drive and like navigate from there. In my case, this is the decision I'm going to make. And not every creator is going to feel this way. The issue is, and Ember gets to this, right? I don't want to be reliant on like just streaming as a source of income because it's not quite as stable. You're basically relying on people that give a lot of money, and the average viewer is not giving. The average viewer is maybe not in a situation where they can like financially donate at all. They can't contribute. You become very reliant on live content, which is not the same as ASMR files. And I would like to release more content for free, but it's just not really feasible because like at some point I would have to sit down and say, well, if I want to make money, I need to stream more, which means I actually stop being a VA and I'm just a streamer. And my streams, I like streaming and I'm going to always stream, but I really see myself more as a VA, and a lot of these streams as like advertisements for my voice acting work. Like, that's usually how I see my streams. Either advertising for my voice acting work or just like general kind of like journalism stuff to kind of like keep the lights on while I'm not doing journalism right now. Like, that's really what I see these streams for. Like, they're a free advertisement. And you know, it's also an opportunity to hang out with you guys and have fun, but it's primarily also like the marketing purpose streaming serves for me is, well, marketing. It's an advertisement that if you like the way I sound on stream, you might be able to hear more on Patreon or Subscribestar. And the issue for me is, well, how is Subscribestar going to react to my content? I am going to take a different decision than Yogi. I respect hers a lot, but I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to, for the time being, I'm just going to keep posting the content that I do on Subscribestar. I'm going to keep posting the content that I do on Patreon. We'll just see if I get dinged, and that's that. Will I tweak stuff maybe a little bit so some audios are a bit more tame? Will I put some content on Proton Drive so it doesn't get put on Substar? Yeah. But the thing is, right, it's sort of like, let me get it up. It's sort of like this thing that Crossman sent me. If anyone's concerned about the TOS or content policy, please know that these updates do not change our operations or screening processes. They are strictly intended to make certain points more explicit for compliance purposes, not to introduce any form of censorship. We will continue refining the wording to make the policies clearer. So if I haven't had a single issue of Subscribestar in all of my time using Subscribestar, and they're basically saying that this is just updating the wording of things they're already doing. Like I said, I usually think that's a little bull, and they're slipping in a little bit more content policy and content moderation whenever Trust and Safety updates these things. But I might as well take their word at it and just keep pushing through and using Subscribestar and Patreon as I am for now. And if I get hit on Patreon, if I get hit on Subscribestar, then I'll just figure it out then. I don't see a reason to move right now if I haven't been dinged at all. And if they suddenly ding me a lot, well, we'll figure it out. I had Fansly and I still do. We'll just figure it out. I am not in the situation that bigger creators are, where it makes more sense for them to kind of move a very big ship in the correct direction, because let me put it this way, right? A lot of the big creators that are going to comply with these rules, they're steering very big ships. And they have huge platforms and they have to account for a lot of income from one specific platform that they need to be careful about. In my case, most of my income comes from Subscribestar, so this obviously is a concern for me, but I'm a smaller ship. It's not as many people and not as much money. So if I need to, in an emergency, switch to a platform like RPlay, it's a little easier to do. It just makes more sense to kind of see what happens and keep going for now. I think I would make a different decision if I was like a really big creator, but I'm too small for me to really like uproot everything right now, when I probably would actually get like a surplus of income if I got banned and just moved and announced that I got moved. So smaller is easier to divert to other platforms. Yeah. Like the raw number of people that you lose is smaller, even if proportionally kind of ends up being the same proportionally. Only other thing I can think of is that you make a good Excel sheet and that users need to fill out a survey of email and you make an email chain. This stuff though, Homer, it's just like, it's too complicated. This is exactly, I don't mean to shoot down your idea. It's just like, this is the exact issue that I was talking about of trying to get people on Twitter or Proton Drive. People don't want to do that stuff. They want to goon. They want to like look at their porn as fast as possible. That's why I'm still on Patreon, because for a lot of people, Patreon is easy as pressing a button and they're done. And they get access to me. They listen to the audio they want and then they cancel their membership. And so I want to make it as easy as possible because money flows freely when it's easy. People pay for things when it's as easy as possible to access. So I want to keep it easy to access. I would hire Anna to do voice acting if I had the money and a place for her to voice act. I'd love to voice act for you, sweetie. I had to think about subbing, not because I'm living on not much, but just because I don't really have an income long term. That's the other thing too. It's like a lot of people don't have money right now. Like the economy also sucks right now. So this is happening in a time when like oil is skyrocketing. What do you guys think that means, right? Gas is going to go up like crazy and people are going to have even less spending money. And I can't fault someone going to a 9-to-5 that's spending an insane amount of money on like gas who doesn't have like $5 to spare, because they might need that $5 to go to like Wendy's and work their 9-to-5, you know? I can't fault Alice, the tea girl that's 2 years in and nearly broke at Wendy's. Excuse me. The monster went down the wrong way. I can't fault Alice at Wendy's, who's spending like an insane amount of money on gas to get to work and then doesn't have $5 to spend on my ASMRs. I can't fault her at all. That seems like a logical decision to me, to just look at free porn for like a year. Only other thing I can think of is that you make a... Oh, wait, I read that roll. Lol. Anna out angling her schooner. Many such cases. I'll be honest, I don't really know what I'm going to do yet, but it's probably going to come down to taking down stuff and riding the gray line with full tour. I'm just going to keep everything up. I'm not going to touch it. I'll wait and see if Subscribestar contacts me and says, like, this is bad, take it down. And if they do that with one of my audios, then I'll just pull a ton of stuff. I'm just going to keep at it. Riding the gray line is a good in-between for me, because if something gets taken down, they don't see it as a big enough violation to take down my entire income stream. Word. I also don't know if my stuff really is going to upset them that much. Like, again, a huge part of this for me is I just have never been dinged. So, excuse me, if I've never been dinged on Substar, and technically this is updating their policies and just like officially codifying them, maybe I'm just in an okay spot and I shouldn't touch anything, you know? I don't know. I just don't know. A lot of this depends on whether Substar increases their moderation over time over the next couple weeks or months. Calm the fuck down. I drank a Monster. I gulped down a Monster. Of course I'm gonna burp. Found a really nice recording on your site. Was surprised to find a kink of mine in your stuff. Oh, I'm really happy to hear that. I'm gonna upload some of my paid audios to my site for free too. There's like my backlog. Stop gulping Ember dick, huh? In the meantime, though, I think what I'm going to do is this. Patreon, Subscribestar. I will continue to use them and we'll just keep floating on. On RPlay, I'm going to start uploading my audios that are paid with its own subscription tier. So it'll be just like how it works on Subscribestar Patreon. So if you want like all of my audios and VODs, you can subscribe to like the priestess category for $10, or like if you just want giantess worshiper stuff, $5. I'm gonna put more stuff on our play. I'm gonna put more stuff on there, and probably like bring the tier system over to our play as well. I might as well, because it's good free advertising for me. And then it's more admin work, it's more busy work, but at least our play will now be an alternative for me if Patreon or Subscribestar goes down. So I'm gonna start doing that. I'm going to continue to be on Patreon doing my thing. I'm going to continue to be on Subscribestar doing my thing, and that's going to be that. The one thing that I would kindly ask at this time is if you have a little bit of cash, tipping is appreciated. And I do have my Ko-fi, which, you know, was unbanned. And sending a little bit of money there helps a lot. This is actually in a really tough time for me financially right now because I have like a housing situation that's a little complicated. I have a roommate that like kind of needs some help with stuff. So just giving a couple dollars to me in general right now is really good. And then on Linktree, I have my RPlay, I have my Ko-fi, I have my I'm not my Ko-fi, I'm sorry. On Linktree I have my RPlay, my Patreon, my Subscribestar. So question is, someone goes wherever you want. Do you want Substar people to move over to our play? No, not necessarily. I'm just going to keep it as an option. Like, it's just going to be an option that exists in case you guys need to move. I would say if you guys are on Substar, Patreon, whatever, just stay there for now. Don't move anything around. If you have a preference between the three sites, obviously choose one, but that's how it's going to be. And then I will just explore further options from there. I can always try to figure out Fansly and can always try to figure out our play, but I think just kind of like existing and seeing if I can get through this stuff without getting any accounts giga nuked is just how it's gonna be. That's just how it's gonna go. Yeah. That's just how it do be though. It do be like that though. One sec, chat. Because I haven't been dinged at all in Substar, so yeah, I don't know. It's depressing. It's really depressing. Welcome back, Jessica. Let me do a news sweep right now, see if there's anything else new that I'm also seeing about Subscribestar. Cause yeah. It is not clear to me whether Subscribestar will be sending people to Riot models. There is discussion about that. I don't really think they are. I think that's kind of like people are making an assumption. And I think it's going to continue to be the case that Riot models is only where they send IRL content posted on Subscribestar. Is my feeling. Things might change over time. Okay. The jackboot. Ooh, spaghetti meatballs. I like spaghetti meatballs. The jackboot right wing. Yeah. So there's people speculating, Ember, on Reddit and some other communities that Riot models is going to be where Subscribestar offloads its more intense adult content that was on Subscribestar, stuff that's hit by the prohibited content update. But I just don't see that as being the case because they already banned so much stuff for IRL models that aligns with what they've banned for Subscribestar artists on Subscribestar.adult. So I don't see why they would basically create like this two-tiered system that payment processors would probably just clamp down on immediately. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Hey Adrian, I'm worried. Trump just said he's not ruling out a draft. Yeah. Well, okay. Let me look that up. Trump draft. I think it was someone in his administration that just said all options are on the table. There's nothing they've taken off the table, so it's not necessarily that he said like we are considering a draft. They're not discussing it right now. Actually, is technically what the admin said.
Don't let Vor distract you.
Oh, don't let Vor distract me. Thank you, Shiji. Oh, thank you. Maple buckaroos. I love maple buckaroos. Yummy, 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 yummy. Okay. Yeah, you take HRT. Someone was like, oh, yeah, take HRT. Then they'll have you on a list to send you to a concentration camp. And it's like, man, whatever, dude. I'm already going, bro. Alright. People on Blue Sky sometimes get a little insane. Okay, I'm looking and seeing if there's anything else. Because there's a lot of like misinformation flying around. There's gonna be. It's just gonna be the case for a bit. There's gonna be some misinfo. Bad info, bad info. Also, I've been hearing rumors that Netanyahu is dead. No, he's not dead. That's not true. Nope, not at all. Yeah, he's still alive. It would have been all over the news already. Yeah, you would have known before me. You just would have known before me. So I guess for any folks wondering what to do, it's really hard for me to know right now. We had the call campaign this summer. It did go well. But the only thing I can really think of is protesting IRL and continuing to ruin the MasterCard brand. Remember when I made those memes, that meme the other week where I was like, MasterCard hates you? Like posting stuff like that, continuing to say MasterCard sucks. And I do think people need to protest at these companies. IRL is actually what I think the next step is. I don't know if people are going to do it, but I think they should. I think they should protest outside these companies. I think MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, people should be protesting outside them. What's your idea, Homer? Tell me your idea. Also, I will say, if you want to support me right now, go to my Linktree, my Patreon, my Substar. You can subscribe to both of them currently. And you could also check out my coffee too. Yeah, that's all good, Homer. Yeah, I don't think people are actually going to protest outside and go to these things. I think it would take something much more severe to happen. Like I don't even know. I don't think people are going to realistically do it. People really want to do stuff they can do at home, and I think it's understandable too. Trump. Spain, I think they've been very bad. Not good at all. We may cut off trade with Spain. Oh, this is amazing. It's not like the emperor has no clothes. It's like the emperor has discarded all forms of skin covering his body. Ugh. One cool thing is the Netherlands just decided to flip the processors the Baird and set up their own system. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about that here. I think it's going to take time, right? But it's promising at least. We got that next money. No, I'm good, Jessica. Thank you, though. Because I'm just not going to talk about this stuff that much. As I said earlier, there's nothing that will stop this that will realistically happen. Thanks, though, Jessica. Yeah. Just the reality. Yeah. All right, well, I don't know if there's much more left for me to say. I think that's pretty much it. Might as well end while we have covered pretty much everything. I'm gonna go find someone to raid. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really think there's much else to say.